That's another real good benefit of the email list, not only in getting new patients into your clinic, but selling these kind of add-on services by just doing a deal. And sometimes at the end of the month, if I want to make a little extra money, I'll do a flash sale. Hey, buy 5 massages, only pay for 4, and you get $1,200 at the end of the month. But that wouldn't be possible if you didn't have an email list.
Hey, smart chiropractors, welcome to the show. And today's featured guest today, myself, Dr. Jeff Langman, and my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch, have the opportunity to sit down with the cash-based chiropractor, Dr. Carl Baird. Carl, thanks for coming on and chatting with us today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Well, you and I were talking a little bit pre-roll. You mentioned a lot of heartache and struggle early on as a cash-based doc, things that you've learned that many young docs can avoid. I want to peel it back to the beginning of that conversation. How was your decision-making process to be cash versus insurance? Was it from the get-go or was it a transition for you?
Yeah. So for me, it was from the get-go. So I guess my background, my mom was a medical doctor. She went back to school when I was like 8 years old. So it wasn't like she was a doctor and then I was born. Like I saw the process of her going to school. Yeah, 4 years of school, 3 years of residency. Like she was kind of never home, and saw her starting her practice in the MD world. And she ended up leaving after 10 years, and putting all that time and effort in because of how the system is run through hospitals and insurance companies. And I just saw her get so fed up with both the hospital system and the insurance system that it was just kind of, when I was in chiropractic school, I just decided, like the insurance is not something that I want to have to deal with in terms of telling me what's best for the patient, what I can and can't do, what the patient needs. Even in the MD world, she just had no control over what she wanted to do with her patients. And she was a geriatric. So these people have, a laundry list of problems, and it was 5-minute appointment. If they had high blood pressure, it was like this medication, and so, again, she just didn't have any control, realized that, that's not what she got into medicine for. So then she went out and started her own practice that was all cash-based, and it was a success for her. So that started it for me. Yeah.
That's how you got introduced to it. Maybe, I guess, share with our audience, I guess, the challenges of an insurance-based practice versus a cash-based practice. And then I'll ask you to sort of dovetail that into, I'm on your website, Performance Healthcare PDX, you're in Portland, Oregon. Help us understand sort of, you are specializing in adults 40 and over. And one of the things we like to highlight is when doctors know their audience, they know who it is. They know more specifically, they know who their audience is. And that's not anyone with a spine and a wallet, but a specific target audience. Help us understand, I guess, sort of how you took this journey, cash, how you chose your target audience, and what you do to really connect with that audience specifically.
Yeah. So that's what I'm putting this presentation together for the FTCA, and it was like, well, what's the difference between building a business in insurance world versus a cash world? Insurance and cash, it's important to have your target audience because that's going to dictate how you market it, how you communicate with those people. But for cash-based specifically, the two things that I kind of instruct younger chiropractors to do is the patients have to, one, they have to be willing to pay cash. And what I mean by that is that they have to have a problem that is big enough that they're willing to invest some money into fix. And what you'll find is if your target market is a 20-year-old who slept funny on their neck and just want a quick pop, that's not going to be somebody who's necessarily willing. Whereas somebody who's over 40, who's had back pain for 5 years on and off and has tried chiropractic and tried physical therapy, and now like their doctor is recommending surgery, that's somebody who is going to be willing to look into a cash-based practice or paying out of pocket for chiropractic. And then the other thing is being able. So the unfortunate reality is, they have to be able to pay out of pocket. So they have to be people that have a disposable income. And usually by the time they're 40s and 50s, they've been in a career long enough that they have some money that they can invest. And so when I was looking at my target market, that's what I was looking for, people who are willing and people who are able to go out of pocket to invest in their health.
Hey, Doc, do you have an email list of 300, 500 or more? If so, please connect with our team at thesmartchiropractor.com. With Patient Pilot, we can activate that email list and start generating reactivations into your practice each and every week. To schedule a demo and learn more, head over to thesmartchiropractor.com. Again, that is thesmartchiropractor.com. But right now, we'll head back over into this awesome interview on Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor. I want to follow up on a question that Jason asked, and you do a great job, what I can see, of what we would call teaching and inviting. Teach and invite consistently as an opportunity to generate conversation with people and then generate business into your practice. And we think that's a very smart way to go. I know that you focused on producing educational content and really tailoring that into your email follow-up. We are huge proponents of email with the Chiro emails within the Smart Chiropractor. And we also know that most chiropractors underperform in the email realm. They leave 99.9% of the steak on the table. What's been your experience with building content that drives to email? Why did you choose to go that way? And how do you approach it today?
Yeah. So, I mean, the main thing, again, when you're trying to get people to pay for out of network chiropractic is building a relationship. That's going to be the most important thing, is that if somebody trusts you and has confidence that you can fix their problem, so you understand their problem and they feel confident that you can fix their problem, they're more than happy to go out of network. But you got to realize that that trust and that confidence isn't built in one phone call or in one specific Facebook ad, that it takes time to build that confidence. And one of the ways that you can help people trust that you know what you're talking about is, one, providing them free information, free helpful information. And that goes back to understanding your target market. If you understand what type of questions they have and you can provide an answer to those questions for free, they're more likely to trust, like, hey, this guy understands who I am. So a lot of my emails just talk about specific people that I've helped, and the odds are that somebody else has that same problem. And if they can see themselves in this story, they're going to be more likely to trust you. And then again, just educational content. They can see that I'm providing value before they've talked to me on the phone, before they've stepped into the clinic, so that when they do eventually come into the clinic, I'm not some stranger that they've never heard from before. I'm somebody that, whether it's email or whether it's a phone call, they've heard from me and already have. If they're in the clinic, the odds that they're going to say yes to a plan of care are a lot higher because they've heard from me through email so many times. So, yeah, I mean, I guess how it works, if you go to the website, there's free reports or free downloads that they can get. And again, most people kind of searching online, maybe aren't ready to book, but they just want some free information. And I guess I view that as, that's somebody like raising their hand saying, hey, I got a problem. I'm not quite ready to talk to anybody about it. And then, yeah, you can automate these emails. So they sign up and then they get an automation of 7 emails, which is kind of 7 questions that I found that people ask about back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain. So it does take a little bit of work because you got to build out these automations and make it specific so that you're speaking to that person. But once that kind of background is set up, it just runs on autopilot. And by the time I actually talk to the person on the phone, they've already heard from me 6 or 7 times, that they are more likely to open up and more likely to be interested in coming in for the next step, which would be the kind of discovery visit in the clinic.
I think that's awesome. If I hear what you're saying correctly, you've got a variety of different ways that people basically get to your website, where they opt in or put in their name and email address in exchange for some free information. You follow up with automated emails. You're not sitting and writing one email at a time necessarily. You've thought through a strategy. So I got that right. I just want to make sure people understand what email automations are and so on. For those curious to understand more about what you're talking about, how do you sort of measure whether it's working? Do people reply to those emails and go, oh, thank you for that question. I was thinking that. Can I make an appointment? Or do they talk about it when they come on in? I learned so much about your emails when you sent them. Thank you. Or how do you know kind of what's resonating, what's not, uh, and how much value or how much it's contributing to people's decision-making process versus not?
Yeah, it's hard to measure quantitatively, like how each email is doing. I mean, you can check the open rates and see who's reading them. But there's other stats in the clinic that you can keep, like a conversion rate. So if somebody's coming in for the discovery visit and then they're going ahead to the next step, which is the exam, and that is a high percentage, you have an idea that something that you're doing before that discovery visit is working, which in our case is the emails. Whereas, if that number starts to drop where people are coming in for the discovery visit and they're not going into the exam, you start asking yourself, well, what's the problem? Is it something I'm saying in the discovery visit, or is it something like along the way they just don't trust me to fix their problem yet? And if they don't trust me, what can I do to build that trust? And so, yeah, I mean, that's what the emails, it's not something, they're meant to be valuable, and a lot of thought went into them. They're not just, oh, just write any sort of email and so they see your name. Like, it has to be something that people find valuable, or it relates to them, and something where they can see themselves in the story. So that's important. I guess that's important too, that the content you put together has to be relevant and it has to be helpful. It's not just creating, 7 follow-up emails to create 7 follow-up emails.
I'm just curious. I'm gonna follow up with Carl. Have you done an analysis of those people that come in and have seen your email campaigns and the percentage that go on to exams from discovery versus those that haven't? And can you see a clear difference in the two?
I haven't broken it down that specifically.
Just curious.
Yeah, no, that's what numbers are hard for me. I'm not really a numbers guy, so it's a little
No difference though. I mean, can you typically tell that somebody comes in and they're leaning in and they're
Oh, yeah.
have a sense of what's up? They, like you said, they feel like they know you because in a way they've received emails from you. They feel a connection versus people that may have.
The initial conversation when you get them on the phone, you can tell is a lot easier from somebody who's kind of heard from you, because when they pick up the phone, they're like, oh, Dr. Carl Baird versus who the hell is this? So yeah, it's been very helpful. I mean, I have one guy, he's never been into the office, but he responds to every email that I send out. His name's Ed. And he's like, I don't know how he got on the list, but me and Ed have a great relationship, and he's never been in. And who knows, maybe in 3 months he'll come in and be a paying patient. But I just think it's just funny in the email. I was like, oh, Ed responded within 30 minutes. Hey, Ed.
That might just be referring everybody else. Maybe he's under 40.
Yeah, he's waiting to start point. Yeah, that's a great point. And on that, I'm looking at your website, and I'd love to talk a little bit about that copywriting and positioning. One thing that I notice is, I'm looking at the headline of your website, the hero image. Everything ties together to exactly that patient avatar that you are going after. And many docs out there, I feel like, get nervous because they don't want to restrict themselves, air quotes here, to only taking care of one person. And it's the old story, almost like marketing. If you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody, right? How did you overcome that mental challenge? I think everybody does experience that at a certain point in time. Gosh, am I being too tight with how my descriptions are? What was your process for doing that? And potentially, what's a tip or two you'd offer somebody who knows they should get a little more clean and tight with their messaging, but hasn't got over the mental hump to do so yet?
Yeah, and that's what I do think there is a balance to it. I think that you can kind of hyper niche yourself. I see, especially a lot of the younger chiropractors that I see, they're all into CrossFit and they want to do like, I'm a barbell chiropractor. And I teach people how to lift heavy and lift heavy weights, and they want to work with these like power athletes. And, that's, I guess, a good niche, but there's a lot less power lifters than there are 40 and 50-year-olds with back pain. That if you're going to hyper niche yourself like that, you better be, one, really good at it, and two, charging a lot of money because you're like the person.
Yep.
Whereas if you can narrow it down, that's why I say 40 plus, right? It's anybody over 40. And then there's specific goals. And that's another thing to keep in mind. That USB that's on my website, that's changed a few times. Before I finally settle on that, and that's the one that's been working because I was kind of listening to what clients would say in terms of what their major concerns are. And one of the things I noticed when I was having these conversations with clients is that maintaining their lifestyle. I'm 40, but I feel like I'm 60. I'm worried. It's not necessarily to the point where it's debilitating me, but I'm worried that it will be in 5 years if it continues to get worse. And so after I kind of heard that, that's when I added the maintain your lifestyle as you get older, because in my people that were coming into my clinic, that was something that you could tell was a big concern. And I think of that whole like message, that was the one that resonated. And again, it's not something that's super specific. I think that can relate to a lot of people, not even people who are over 40. I have friends in their 30s who are already starting to get that thought in their head.
Hey, it's Dr. Jason. I just want to take a brief moment and invite you to schedule a demo with our team to learn more about our patient pilot automated email campaigns. They are the smartest way to reactivate the people you've seen over the years in the past. Check it out, schedule a demo. We look forward to helping you help more people, piloting your patients back into your practice. Now back to our show. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I'd be very curious to just keep that part of that conversation going. How does that relate to your business model? Obviously, you're talking about cash base. For those that may not know, you do, I'm assuming, take credit cards and checks. It doesn't have to be green paper, et cetera,
Yeah.
but it's pay out of pocket directly. How do people think about it? They come in for pain, they stick around for ongoing, maintenance care, or what do you call it? And how do you charge for it? Do you have membership programs, or is it per visit? Or
When you're starting a business, to have in mind is like, what's the customer journey? So they come in for the exam, and then after the exam, you can recommend your plan of care. But then again, if you've established trust, you've established a relationship, a lot of people want to continue on. They don't just want to, end it and then be done. So having some sort of maintenance plan is really important, for continual cash flow. I have, probably 20 people that I know, whenever their maintenance plan is up, they're gonna resign. So I just have that guaranteed income, kind of every 2 months. And yeah, so what we do, it's having services. One of the best things I did was hire a massage therapist. People love massage, and it's a great addition into chiropractic. People are used to paying, I think, cash for massage a little bit more. So they're happy with that. The other one that I do specifically, I focus a lot on strength training, teaching people how to move and build strength. So then I have a personal trainer that I work with in the clinic here. And so once they finish playing with me, we've got them out of pain, but they want to continue to build strength because, building strength is an ongoing process. You don't do it in just 2 months and then you're good. We refer them to the personal trainer. And then, yeah, we have memberships. So it's kind of like, well, if you wanted a massage, a chiropractic, and a personal training once a month, like, here's like our membership option for you. So yeah, we do have ways to keep people in the clinic. And then again, going back to the email list, we'll do deals on massage and personal training. So I usually pick one a month, whether it's massage or personal training. It's like, hey, buy 12 personal training sessions and only pay for 10. And again, the size of your email list, if you have 100 and 5 people sign up for that, that's an extra couple grand in your pocket. And that's another real good benefit of the email list, not only in getting new patients into your clinic, but selling these kind of add-on services by just doing a deal. And sometimes, yeah, at the end of the month, if I want to make a little extra money, I'll do a flash sale. Hey, buy 5 massages, only pay for 4, and you get, a couple $100 at the end of the month. But that wouldn't be possible if you didn't have an email list. And the bigger your email list, it's a numbers game, right? It's the bigger your email list. If 5% of people respond to your email, if you have 100, you'll get 5. If you have 1,000, you'll get 50. And so, again, just the importance of building an email list and making a successful business there.
That is a great point and a perfect place to wrap our conversation. We got to get you a copy of our book, The Payday Practice, which is all about memberships and subscriptions. Love to have your feedback on that. 3 key points that I heard, Carl, that I think are really, really important. I want to make sure every doc out there listening understood. Number 1, targeting a specific patient avatar and understanding what that is, getting it to be the right size is an art and a science, and super important. Number 2, email is a critical component and a missed opportunity in so many docs' practices. Number 3, memberships and subscriptions can build crazy stability into your practice. Before we wrap up, docs that want to learn more about what you do and how you can help them on building a cash-based practice, we'll drop the links down below, but shout them out real quick. Where can docs learn more?
Yeah. So another business I run, it's called the Cash-Based Chiropractor, and it's just a coaching business to help chiropractors, especially the newer chiropractors right out of school, get started into the cash-based world. I have one program, it's the Cash-Based Starter Program, which is designed to just help you build that foundation. And then one that matches your treatment style, but then you can grow off of that. It's things that, I've been doing this for 10 years. The first 3 or 4 years were a struggle because I didn't hire anybody to help me figure it out. It was kind of all I'll figure it out on my own. And then after 3 or 4 years, I realized, I needed some help with this. So the programs and the coaching, it's all designed to save you time, stress, and money so that you can be successful a lot faster than I was. And again, you'll just work directly with me. I have a workbook that we go through. And again, it's helping you think through it. So it's not just rebuild my practice. It's like, let's build the practice that's going to work for you with these principles.
Very well said. We'll drop those links down below. Docs listening and watching, if you're interested in learning more about having a cash-based practice or reinforcing the cash-based portion of your practice, going to recommend you reach out to Carl. We'll drop those links down below. Check them out, communicate with them. Thank you for joining us today. And Carl, thank you so much for coming on and chatting. It has been awesome to connect with you. I know we've been going back and forth on the internet. Great to see you and chat. And thanks for delivering a bunch of value to everybody, including ourselves today.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching this video on The Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.